Every November, two turkeys are paraded on national television, but behind the glossy feathers and presidential smiles lies a hidden world. Out of more than 220 million birds raised each year, just 50 to 80 are hand-picked, isolated from the rest, and subjected to a level of scrutiny, biosecurity, and conditioning that would baffle most Americans. The official narrative tells us it is about tradition. But how and why are these few turkeys chosen, and what strange rituals shape their journey to the White House? To answer that, we need to start at the very beginning, where their story is sealed with a tag, not a pardon. Rows of eggs line the racks, each one marked for a purpose that sets it apart from the millions destined for supermarket shelves. At the heart of the hatchery, a manager in a clean smock moves down the line, clipboard in hand, ticking off numbers with the practiced ease of someone who knows every step counts. For this flock, the count is precise, 44 poults, each selected from the first moments of life for a journey that only a handful will complete. Their details are entered into a log, including date, time, parent stock, and the sequence number that will follow them for months. As the eggs begin to crack, chicks emerge in a blur of damp down and blinking eyes. Each is lifted gently, checked for vigor, and tagged with a small plastic band. The tag is not just an identifier, it is a ticket into a world of constant monitoring and record-keeping. The manager notes the tag numbers on a roster, cross-checking against the original hatch list. Any chick that shows even a hint of weakness is set aside, its fate already diverging from the rest. Once tagged, the poults are moved to a pen separated from the main hatchery floor. A laminated sign reads, "Presidential Flock" in bold marker, a quiet distinction that means everything in this building. Behind the wire, the group settles in under heat lamps, each banded leg a reminder of the scrutiny to come. Their numbers may seem small, just 44 in a barn built for thousands, but every detail is recorded, from the time each bird stands to its first steps toward feed and water. On paper, it is a simple process: select, tag, record, and pin. In practice, it is the moment where a turkey's path forks from the anonymous masses to the short, extraordinary life of a presidential candidate. The roster is complete, the tags secure, and the journey of the chosen flock begins. Inside the barn, a single trait unites every bird: snowy white feathers that seem to glow under the harshest studio lights. The broad-breasted white is the only breed considered for the presidential flock. Its plumage reflects light, leaving no trace of shadow or blemish on camera, a detail that matters when millions will watch the Thanksgiving pardon unfold on national television. Television producers consulted by the National Turkey Federation decades ago made it clear white feathers look clean and pure, while darker breeds risk muddying the image. The broad-breasted white's docile nature and rapid growth are industry standards, but here, its appearance is the deciding factor. While the rest of the country raises over 220 million turkeys each year in sprawling, crowded barns, the presidential flock lives behind a wall of precautions. Entry into their quarters requires more than just a locked gate. Before anyone steps inside, they must pass through a series of checkpoints. Disposable boot covers, gloves, and coveralls are mandatory. A biosecurity manager stands at the entrance, clipboard in hand, ensuring that no one has visited another poultry site in the last 48 hours. Hands are scrubbed at a wash station, and every visitor logs their arrival and departure. The barn itself sits at a distance from the main operation, buffered by empty fields and a perimeter fence to keep wild birds at bay. The air inside is filtered, and feed is delivered by workers who have not handled other birds that week. Even the delivery trucks undergo a full disinfectant spray before approaching the building. The goal is absolute. No outside microbes, no risk of avian influenza, no chance for a stray pathogen to disrupt the ceremony. Every precaution is enforced with the same care given to a laboratory cleanroom. For these turkeys, isolation is not just a matter of health, it is the price of the spotlight. A caretaker steps quietly into the barn, boots wrapped in disposable covers, hands already reaching for the first poult of the morning. The process is slow and deliberate. Each chick is lifted, cradled against a palm, and gently stroked along the back and wings. This is not just a check for health, it is a daily lesson in trust. The touch is firm but calm, teaching the birds that human hands bring no harm. Over the weeks, these sessions add up to hundreds of quiet encounters. A poult that flinches on day one soon learns to settle, its heartbeat slowing as familiar hands smooth its feathers. The goal is more than tameness. Docility. Here means something precise, a bird that stands still when approached, that does not bolt or peck, even as the barn fills with unfamiliar sounds. The caretaker notes small changes, a bird that no longer startles at a shadow, another that hesitates less before taking feed from a hand. Behavior is tracked in a log with each bird's tag number and a few quick notes: calm, curious, startled by noise. This routine shapes the flock's baseline temperament. Unlike the millions of turkeys raised for food, these birds are conditioned to accept touch, movement, and the unpredictable presence of people. When the caretaker kneels, the poults gather close, some pecking curiously at zippers or buttons. The barn is quiet except for the soft peeping and the rustle of feathers. There are no sharp commands, no sudden movements. Even the act of weighing a bird, lifting it from the bedding, setting it on a scale, then returning it to the group, is done with the same gentle rhythm. By the time the birds are half grown, the difference is clear. A visitor can walk the aisle and see turkeys that pause, look, and stay put. The flock's calmness is not an accident, but the result of hundreds of hours spent building trust, one gentle touch at a time. The caretaker's notes fill page after page, each entry a record of small progress. In this barn, docility is not just a trait, it is a requirement carefully shaped by human hands. Rows of black speakers hang from the rafters, their cords tucked neatly along the beams. Each morning, a trainer unlocks a metal box and checks the playlist, a mix of crowd noise, applause, and the steady chop of helicopter blades. The volume is set with a decibel meter, readings logged in a spiral notebook, 82, 85, sometimes as high as 90. In the corner, a digital clock counts the hours. The sound doesn't stop. It cycles through the night, blending with the hum of the ventilation fans and the soft clucks of the flock. On paper, the regimen looks clinical. Exposure schedules, speaker placements, and sound pressure levels measured at turkey height. The trainer's notes fill the margins with entries such as no piling, alert but calm, one bird startled at 2:15 a.m. Every response is recorded. At the end of each week, an independent behaviorist arrives. She stands quietly by the pen, clipboard in hand, watching for the smallest sign of distress, a sudden freeze, a burst of flapping, a cluster of birds pressed against the wall. Her stopwatch tracks how long it takes for the flock to settle after a new sound begins. Before the speakers, a dropped bucket or a loud voice sent the birds scattering. Now the same commotion draws only a few glances. The behaviorist compares her notes. Startle rates are down by half, and resettling time has been cut from 30 seconds to less than 10 seconds. The logbooks show the change in numbers. But the real evidence is in the barn itself. The birds stand their ground, unbothered by the echo of a crowd or the thump of rotors overhead. No panic, no pile-ups, just a steady ripple of feathers as they return to feed. The trainer closes the notebook and lowers the volume for the night. The data points to a flock that is ready, not just to be handled, but to stand in the spotlight, unmoved by the noise of the world beyond the barn. A nutritionist stands at the edge of the feed room, clipboard balanced on one arm, scanning the latest batch sheet. The numbers are precise. Corn makes up the bulk of every ration, about 80% by weight, with soy meal added at 15%. The remaining mix is a blend of vitamins, minerals, and amino acids, each measured to the gram. This formula is not an industry secret. It is the standard for rapid, uniform growth in broad-breasted white turkeys. But here, every step is tracked more closely than usual. Bags of feed are stacked in tidy rows, each labeled with date and lot number, ready for the next delivery to the barn. Every morning, a caretaker wheels a fresh load of pellets down the center aisle, scattering them into long troughs. The birds crowd close, heads bobbing, beaks snapping up the high-protein mix. Over the weeks, their bodies change fast. At 4 weeks, they weigh just over a pound, and by 10 weeks, the average bird has reached 10 pounds. By mid-November, the best candidates tip the scales near 40 pounds, broad-chested, thick-legged, and still moving with surprising ease. The nutritionist checks the growth charts pinned to the wall, red lines tracing each bird's progress. Any sign of a slowdown is noted, and the feed adjusted as needed. The goal is clear: birds that not only look the part, but can stand steady for the ceremony, their size and health the product of months of careful calculation. A stainless steel exam table stands at the center of the barn, wiped down between each bird. The lead veterinarian lifts a turkey from the holding pen, hands steady, voice low. Every finalist must pass this test. Each bird is set gently on the table and observed for posture. Legs spaced just so, chest high, head alert but calm. The veterinarian circles, scanning for evenness in the wings and tail, the symmetry of snowy feathers. Any sign of a limp, a dropped wing, or a ruffled patch disqualifies a candidate instantly. A second handler checks the eyes, clear and bright, while another runs fingers along the breastbone, feeling for uniform muscle. Notes are jotted on a clipboard, including tag number, feather score, gait, and temperament under pressure. The room stays quiet except for the soft shuffle of boots and the occasional low cluck. The veterinarian pauses, watching for the bird's reaction to the unfamiliar surface. Some turkeys freeze, others shift their weight, but the best stand steady, unbothered by the scrutiny. From more than 20 contenders, only 2 are chosen: the national turkey and his alternate. Their selection is final, locked in by the calm with which they face the exam table, the flawless sweep of their plumage, and the unwavering steadiness that will soon be tested on a national stage. A logistics coordinator stands beside a white minivan, clipboard in hand, as the barn doors swing open for the final time. The national turkey and his alternate are lifted into travel crates lined with pine shavings, each crate checked for ventilation and temperature controls. The drive to Washington, D.C. stretches nearly 18 hours, crossing state lines under a police escort. Inside the trailer, the air is kept cool and steady, monitored throughout the journey to prevent any sign of stress. The birds travel with water and feed, their bedding refreshed at every rest stop along the route. Arrival in the city brings a new set of handlers, each one briefed on the bird's care and comfort. In a quiet hotel suite, the turkeys are released from their crates. A handler gently runs a damp cloth along each wing, smoothing out any dust picked up on the farm. Feathers are fluffed and checked for stray bits of bedding. A small battery-powered dryer hums softly as it lifts the last traces of travel from their plumage. Every detail is tracked on a checklist: posture, feather condition, alertness. The goal is perfection. Hours before the ceremony, the birds stand ready in their suite, calm and immaculate, awaiting the moment when every camera in the country will turn their way. The veterinarian steadies the turkey on the exam table, hands moving with practiced care along the thick breast and down each sturdy leg. Beneath the snowy feathers, she checks for swelling around the joints, feeling for heat or tenderness that signals strain. The broad-breasted white, bred for fast growth and heavy muscle, carries his size with effort. At 40 pounds, every step is measured. She bends each leg, watching for signs of stiffness or a slight limp. Some birds shift uneasily, their weight pressing hard on joints not meant to bear it for long. With a stethoscope pressed to the chest, she listens for the rhythm of the heart. In these birds, the beat can be fast, sometimes irregular, a warning that the heart is working harder than nature intended. The veterinarian records her findings: one bird with a subtle hitch in his gait, another with a faint heart murmur. These are not illnesses caused by neglect, but the cost of selective breeding for size and show. Out of sight of the cameras, evidence accumulates in the charts: notes on mobility, warnings about cardiac stress, reminders that the spotlight comes with a price. The parade of exams continues, each bird weighed against a standard that values perfection, but cannot erase the hidden toll. A caretaker stands at the edge of a quiet paddock, clipboard in hand, reading through the morning's diet log. After the ceremony, the national turkey and his alternate are moved to a university farm, where the rules of care change. The high-calorie feed that built their size is replaced by a lighter mix: less corn, more greens, and measured portions designed to slow the pace of growth. Each meal is weighed and recorded, part of a program meant to ease the strain on bodies bred for rapid gain. The caretaker notes the change in appetite, the way the birds linger over their food, no longer rushing to eat. He watches their steps for signs of stiffness, marking small improvements or setbacks in the margins. He speaks softly about the challenge of caring for birds shaped by a system that values spectacle over longevity. They are gentle, curious, and they trust us, he says, but their bodies are not built for the long run. We do what we can: less feed, more space, gentle walks, but sometimes it is not enough. The university's program is meant to offer comfort and dignity, yet the question lingers: what do we owe these birds, whose brief moment in the spotlight is followed by a lifetime of careful management? The logs fill with daily notes, each entry a small act of stewardship, but the answers remain unsettled. Today, the presidential turkey stands as a living symbol, pampered, paraded, but bred for a fate its genetics can't escape. As debates about animal welfare and food systems intensify, the spotlight on these birds exposes deeper questions about how we value life for tradition's sake. The pageantry continues, but the reality behind the feathers remains unchanged. Thanks for watching. Share your thoughts below.